God did not create the universe. When it came to the creation of the universe, God just wasn't necessary. That's the conclusion renowned scientist Stephen Hawking has made in his new book called The Grand Design. It is not necessary to invoke God to light the blue touch paper and set the universe going, Hawking writes. The Big Bang was a natural event which would have happened without the help or involvement of God, he argues. Because there is a law such as gravity, the universe can, and will create itself from nothing, Hawking writes. Spontaneous creation is the reason there is something rather than nothing, why the universe exists, why we exist, he says. Oh really, Stephen? Do you hear yourself, buddy? You are basically saying that everything in existence happened by chance, and evolved out of nothing. Hey Stephen, do you think that maybe your muscular dystrophy is making you be spiteful towards God? Let's talk about nothing, since that seems to be what scientists and atheists know a lot about. What exactly is nothing? If they believe everything came from nothing, then what is nothing? Well, for the mere fact that we are talking about nothing, isn't it then something? Think about it for a minute. Stephen, in the eyes of God, there is no such thing as nothing. Nothing is a word that we use here on earth to describe lack of a certain thing. The dictionary defines nothing as not anything, no thing. But in the eyes of an ultimate creator, like God, anything that you could point to or describe with words would be considered something. Are you following so far? So to say everything came from nothing really makes no sense, because scientifically and logically, there could have never been a time that there was absolutely nothing. Something has always existed, even if you only recognize it as matter. And something will always exist. Hey, wait a minute, that's what God said about himself in the Bible. I am Alpha through Omega. Wow, it kind of looks like maybe God could be that nothing. It is important that we establish what nothing is supposed to be in Stephen Hawking's argument, because he is not making complete sense, and if we are not careful, atheists will use his book to back their position of there being no God. Listen, God is not a toy to be played with. He is not something to be invented. He is not a picture to be drawn. He is God. He exists whether we understand him or not. But all that is hard for some people. Some want him to be a being that they can manipulate. I am convinced that if God were like men and lived in a place where we could actually find him physically, there would be people trying to create a weapon to take control of him. Some would probably try to imprison him, others might even try to kill him for not being the God they want him to be. Look what they did to Jesus. God is way bigger than humans can imagine. And know that God is not hiding from us. We are just a lot smaller than we think we are. Our thinking is way smaller than we think it is. That's why in the Bible God said, all of the knowledge in the world is folly with God. Everything we know is just a grain of sand compared to God and the truth. But humans are so arrogant that we think we know it all, or can know it all if we do enough research or are given the right amount of time. Scientists want to put God in a box, and atheists want to ask God major questions face to face. But does the rain explain itself? Does the wind sit down to explain its patterns? Does the sun or moon hold seminars on why they are what they are? Does the universe have a Facebook account? Do comets tweet their whereabouts on Twitter? Does the galaxy have a MySpace page? So why do we expect God to respond to the world's constant rhetoric? Our will is not necessarily God's will. Hey, this is more complicated than we know. I could never explain everything I know and believe in a short video. So let me break it down a little simpler. Imagine that there is a group of fish somewhere arguing about whether humans exist. One fish says, "Seriously, I was taken aboard a thing that humans call a boat, but the human threw me back in the ocean." The other fish might say, "Yeah, right, there is no such thing as a human, never mind the boat." Another fish might say, "Let's swim around the whole ocean, and if I see a human, then I will believe in him." The fish would swim the whole ocean for years and years, but they would never find a human. Why? It's because they are on a different plane than we are. We are on different levels of thinking than each other. We are in different dimensions, if you will. We could be looking directly in the eyes of a fish, and he would still say, "I don't see any humans." And you can use that scenario with ants, microscopic organisms, etc., and you can also use it with humans in comparison to God. We can search the universe for 1 billion years and never find God. We can send out spaceships and satellites to the deepest part of the universe, but all we will ever see is blackness and celestial bodies. We will never find God for the same reason that fish will never find us looking around the ocean. Yet, are we hiding from the fish? No. And neither is God hiding from us. We just can't fathom who he is, and that's why he manifested his spirit into the man called Jesus to help us. That's why he used prophets and scriptures to help us. And if we wanted the fish to know who we really were, we would have to become like a fish so that they could have a chance of understanding us. This is deep stuff, but don't be afraid to open your mind. The truth is this deep. To be fair, a lot of people have a hard time believing in God because of what they see in the world. There is so much wrong going on that some people can't believe that there is a God that cares about us. Other people want to believe, but struggle with it because of religions and churches. But none of it changes the truth. God exists regardless. You can grab hold of him and have a fortress, or you can do it alone. Except when you do it alone, you will struggle with things like anxiety and depression or unnecessary pain, etc. God is real, but you can't find him with a telescope.